we're here and the conditions look awesome. So that sun's just coming up now. So let's hope that that means it's going to warm up a few degrees pretty quickly. Hey guys, it's Alan here from FishingMad. Over the last month I've had a heap of questions from followers asking for some advice on how to catch more flathead. Well, I thought I'd put together a video for you and anyone else who wants some basic tips on catching flatties. This video aims to give you some retrieval techniques, soft plastic choices, bait selection, and hopefully get you on your way to catching a few more flathead. When targeting a fish species, you need to think about their characteristics. For most part, flathead, well, they're an ambush predator. They sit on the bottom, they've got eyes on the top of their head, and they're quite camouflaged. And what they do is they sit there waiting for a bait fish or a mullet to swim by for an easy feed. Understanding those characteristics already gives us a few key tips. One tip is keep your baits and your soft plastics down towards the bottom. They're an ambush predator sitting on the bottom, that's where you want to be. The other tip is cover lots of ground. If you're a land-based angler or on the piers, just walk around everywhere, cover a lot of distance. And if you're on a kayak or a small boat, well, don't anchor up, just drift around and that's your best chance of finding them. Let's talk about gear that's suitable for targeting flathead. When I go flathead fishing, I'll usually take a bait rod with me and also a soft plastics and lure rod setup. If we focus on the soft plastics and lure rod setup, I think a 2 to 4 kilo rod is perfect. Anything that's got, say, a 2000 or a 2500 or 3000 size reel, and line capacity anywhere from 4 pounds all the way through to 10 pounds. If I show you my rod setup for this type of fishing, this is the Savage Gear Black Savage spin rod. It's 6'10" in length. It's a 2 to 4 class kilo, which is perfect for this style. Now what I've done, I've put a Stealth 2000 size reel on the end of that, and I've got 7-pound braid. So this kind of setup for me is absolutely perfect for targeting flathead. Two other key things I do is using braid and also a fluorocarbon leader. So where braid's really important is it doesn't stretch like monofilament line. And what that means is you're always in contact with your lure and your soft plastic. So if you get a little nibble or a bite, you're going to feel that straight away. The other thing I like to do is use a fluorocarbon leader. Typically I'll use about a rod length. And what fluorocarbon leader is, it's fused fishing line, which means it's really thin in diameter and it's also really clear in the water, really improving your strike rate. If I was fishing for brim, you generally use a really light fluoro leader. That is 4 pound, or even sometimes I'll trim it down to 2 pound, which is perfect for targeting finicky brim. But when you're fishing for flathead, I'll bump that up. So that is 7-pound fluorocarbon leader. And the reason we do that is flathead have quite bristly teeth and they'll often really tear that up. When selecting a jig head, I'll generally take with me a 1/6, a 1/8 and a 1/12 of an ounce. And what I do is I chop and change those depending on how strong the wind is and how strong the current in the water is. If you're fishing in deep water in a boat, you'd probably go even heavier, maybe a 1/4 ounce or a 1/2 ounce. But typically in this sort of style, they're the weights that we'd be using. The choice of soft plastics when targeting flathead is almost endless, but this on this board is typically what I would go with. You've got your very popular Grub style soft plastics. So these are the Z-Man Grubs in 2.5 inch. You've got watermelon black and the slightly bigger one in pearl. You've then got your 2.5 inch slim swims, really good for imitating a bait fish. So that's the motor oil and that's the golden flick. Then you've got things like your worm styles. So this is the Berkeley Turtleback Worm, goes really well. You do get a lot of bites from pufferfish with it. The other thing that are fantastic is the new Savage Gear Pro Grub. So that's in motor oil and that's in gold. They're also dynamite out here. Paddle tails are also a really good choice. There you've got a Lunker City paddle tail. Here is the Savage Gear Fat T-tail. And then there's other things that you can go to. If there's pinkies and stuff biting, you might want to go to something a little bit bigger. That is just a little bait imitation shad. And then you've got your Z-Man curl tails and your Savage Gear sand eel, which look fantastic. The other thing that go really well is your imitation yabbies and bait fish. So this Savage Gear 3D Prey, that looks awesome. And then also a number of other branded ones as well. But typically that would be everything that would cover me out there for soft plastics. It doesn't have to be just soft plastics. You can also use a range of crank style lures, vibes, blades. Here's just a couple that I generally take out. So these are the Savage Gear Fathead cranks. They've got the deep diving bib on them, which allows them to get deeper and sort of brush up the sand. The other thing you've got is like a mullet imitation style vibe. That's a soft vibe from Savage Gear. And also there's a whole range of blades and a whole range of different colors. When fishing with soft plastics, there's two techniques that I use for retrieving. So one is what I call the hopping technique, and the other is the slow roll. So if I show you those, the first technique is the hopping technique. So what we basically do, and I'll show you this out in the water again later when we go and practice, is you cast out, okay, you wait for your soft plastic to hit the bottom, and you'll know because your line will go slack. Generally it'll only take a few seconds. And then what we do is, we do a couple of erratic lifts. So we go 1, 2, 3, then we wind in that slack, and we let that sit on the bottom, and I generally count to about 5 seconds. So if I show you that, it'll be 1, 2, 3, wind in the slack, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, wind in the slack, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll repeat that process the whole way until that's back where I'm fishing. The idea behind that is you're trying to imitate a wounded bait fish. So you've got a bait fish that lifts up the bottom erratically and then goes back down. That has probably got the most fish that I've caught. The other is the slow roll, and it's just as easy as it sounds. You cast a soft plastic. Again, I like to wait for it to hit the bottom, so you wait a few seconds, and then all you do is you just really slowly roll in this. Now, this works brilliant for your curl style soft plastics, your paddle tails, and the idea is we're going to keep that plastic a couple of feet above the bottom, and it's just going to be wriggling around with its natural action. And again, we just cast out and just really slowly reel that in, and that will definitely get you a couple of fish. When it comes to bait rod setup, I think a 2 to 4 kilo or a 3 to 5 kilo rod is perfect. You don't have to use braid. Monofilament line is just fine. You're often casting and just leaving it out there with your bait. My boat rod setup is a multi-purpose Predator 2 rod by Savage Gear. It's a 7-foot length rod. It's 3 to 5 kilo weight class, and on the end of that I've got a Stealth 3000 spooled with 8-pound braid. When it comes to rigging up your bait rod, I often like to get these. These are your pre-rigged paternoster rigs. They're fantastic. You basically unpack them, tie on a sinker and your baits, and away you go. And it's great because it gives you baits at 2 separate heights. Now, when it comes to bait choice, the choices are endless. You've got pilchard, you've got pippies, you've got wide bait, you've got blue bait, you've got mackerel, raw chicken. There's so many things that you can choose. Personally, I like to go with squid. There's a couple of reasons. One is it doesn't fall off the hook. Now, as you know, I often go out in my kayak and I like to bait up my rod and leave it in the rod holder. Unlike pilchards that fall off all the time and you're checking your rods, I'm confident that that's going to be there. There's always going to be a bait on there. The other thing, it's just pure convenience. I often like to go out and catch squid. I'll take them home and I'll turn the hoods into calamari rings, and what I'll do, I'll keep the tentacles and use them for bait. Okay guys, thanks for sticking with us. We've covered a whole heap of tips there. We'll hopefully get you onto a few flathead, but now the pressure comes onto us because we're going to hit the water and put that theory into practice and hopefully get onto a few flathead. Wish us luck. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yep. Playing with the sounder. Yeah, it's a flatty. Little guy. There, mate. Net it. Well done. About 40. Oh, bite. Come on. Oh, had a big go then. Come on. Yep. It's taken. Oh, this is heavy, man. Yeah, nice fish. Really nice fish. Get him over here. Yeah, if I can get my net would help. He's not done. Is he? A strong one. He's fighting really hard, this guy. And I think there's another one. I'm on it again. Yeah. Oh, this one's pulling drag too. Oh man, this one's dragging the boat. Or kayak, I should say. And how am I going to do this, man? We might put you down there. Put you there. Put you there so I don't lose you. Oh, this is a heavy fish, man. I know. Oh, yeah, it's a good one. Now I've got lines everywhere. It's a nice fish. Oh, no. He's not done. Oh, no. Oh, Nikes. Good fish? Oh, take your time, mate. Yes. Yeah, it's got a bit of, this one's got a bit of stick to it though. Every time I'm tying my leader on, it just goes off. This has to be a flatty, I'd say. Oh, nice size one though, if it is. Yeah, it's not a bad flatty. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Oh, look at this huge flatty's chasing it. Look at this. Oh, look at this huge float, he's chasing it. Look at this. Taking drag. Oh no, I got a bite too. I'm gonna have to come back to you, mate. Oh. Please don't be another puffer fish. Oh no, nice floaty. I think my other rod's gone too, mate. Big fish? Oh yeah, that's a big flathead. Oh, oh. I think I'm on, yep. Oh yeah. Not sure. Thought that was a bite then. Might just be those waves. Oh. Oh. Yeah, flatty on the plastic. Flatty on the plastic. Oh, I think we've come over a patch of flatties, mate. Both rods are off. Oh, that was on. And it's off. Bugger. Both rods went off then. Oh, he's back. Yep. Oh yeah, got some weight too. I got two fish on. I've got a fish in the net and I've got another one on. Whoa, 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 whoa. There's a bite. Well, it's taking a little bit of drag, so, and it's actually dragging the kayak, man, so hopefully, no, there's no way that's a toady. That's heavy. I hope so. Yeah, flatty. Nice one too. Really nice. Oh yeah, that's a big one. That's better. Hopefully he's there still. Hopefully he's there still. Oh, 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 oh. Come on. Yep. On the plastic. Just played with it. It was so timid to take. fighting like a flatty. Yeah, it's a nice flatty. Yeah, really nice flatty. That's a really nice fish, actually. Bring it to, oh, there we go, got it. Oh. I've got your plastic. And your jig head. Oh, pumpkin seed, I might have give that a go. Okay guys, well, we've got a minute. I'm gonna show you the casting techniques that I was talking about earlier. So at the moment you can see 1/6 of an ounce jig head. That's a Berkeley Turtleback Worm. So we're going to show you the first technique, which was the hopping technique. So we're not far from the pier there, so we're going to cast this out. Okay. Now we're fishing only at the moment in 4.3 meters of water, so it's going to get to the bottom straight away. However, you can usually tell because your line will go completely slack. So now this hopping technique, we're trying to imitate a wounded bait fish. So again, what we're going to do is 3 really erratic movements. Go 1, 2, 3 up. Wind in that slack and then let that sit on the bottom for about 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just keep repeating. So a couple of erratic up movements, wind in the slack, again let it sit on the bottom for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to repeat this all the way until that plastic is back at the kayak. Now I've probably caught most of my fishing on soft plastics on the kayak for flatty with this style, so it works really well. Again, picture you're a flathead sitting on the bottom, a wounded bait fish comes and just sits over the top of you. That's exactly what we're trying to achieve with this. So alright, so now to show you the other style. The other style is just a simple slow roll. So again, oh look at that, we actually had a bite then guys. So you saw that that plastic was on there before, so let's quickly rig up another one. We rig this one up. Okay, take your time. You want to get that nice and straight. So out about there, push that up. Not bad, seeing I'm doing that in a rush, that's pretty good. Okay, so technique 2 is really just casting out, letting it hit the bottom, and then doing a slow retrieve. So, let's go, let's cast that out. Okay, again, we're in depth still of 4.2 meters exactly. That plastic is probably on the bottom already. And then all we're gonna do is just a simple slow roll like that. We don't want to go too fast. If we're targeting flatties, we want to keep that plastic on the bottom. Ideally, that's gonna be just like about a foot above the surface, which is perfect for flatties because that's gonna go just above their heads like a bait fish.